Thank you. That's really nice. I mean, one thing that Patrick and I very much cared about was not apologizing for singing or music. That's the most important part. It's like, you know what, these kids sing, and you're gonna like it. And you know, we weren't gonna like, oh, it's fantasy now, fantasy sequence. I mean, it was gonna be totally they sing in their world. The world never changes. It's always the same universe. No, actually, that's not Malloy's. You know, I mean, the Crash the Party is actually the house right outside Malloy's. You know, you probably recognize it. But no, it was Bitter End. Paul actually found Bitter End. He's like, "This is the best bar ever," and I was like, "Yeah, let's get drunk." And so we went there, and and I was like, "Yeah, this is awesome, rafters and everything." But inspiration for the bar, that should be your question.
You mean that night, that crazy night?
Oh, we can talk, whatever.
Well, we were like, okay, whatever bar we end up going to, you know, this song is the Papa song, and I always call it the Papa song. Is it Papa, Papa? Hey, you know what? Let's watch Papa from Oliver. You know, the night before we shot it, right? And we're like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is a huge ass fucking scene, man. That'd be awesome if we could do. What if we did that? And we just kind of mapped it out on napkins like at 4 or like 3 in the morning. Woke up at 7, went straight and shot it. So.
Yeah, we only had 5 hours to shoot that, so like the best thing about that was, yeah, I mean, I had this whole like shot list of like, it's gonna be like a dolly, and we're gonna crane up. And I was like, we got 5 hours. So we decided to split. We decided like, yeah, we watched Papa. And Papa is essentially like 8 shots, like, you know, 5-hour scene, 8 shots. And I was like, you know what? We totally could just block the whole thing. You know, Patrick and I like, I still have this diagram. I'm gonna frame it. And then, and you know, and I just thought of it in 6 shots. The whole thing was really 6 shots, besides that crazy ending. And you know, that's how it kind of came about. Really, time constraints helped.
I think that we have time for a couple more questions. If anybody has any from the audience, any more questions? And we're not going to answer any questions about budget. Okay, you there, and we'll take you last. Okay. Is there a sequel in the works?
Yeah, Patrick. HP wrote a. What a convenient question. HP wrote a sequel called Ceremony the Musical. It's really good. It's so good. It's about Amanda and Maribel after, you know, Riddell and Billy have left town, and it's kind of life, you know, the microcosm of life inside the mall. So we'll see.
And then I think that we had one last question right over there.
Was it hard to do the scene where you dancing and singing on the car?
Not so much for me, because I was on the ground, but actually not even so much. It was harder for him, but really it was hard because we tore the shit out of her car, man. Like, we dented her trunk in, and I think we broke her sunroof, and it's like, it was trial and error. What part of the car can he jump up and down on and not totally destroy? And so once we figured that out, it was good, but you know, there were balance issues and stuff, so, you know, yeah, it was tough. One of the tougher parts of the movie, I think.
I'm sorry, LA. It's still dented.
All right. We're going to go ahead and close this off with, you know, by me making a... I'm sorry, what? Did anybody have a question? Yeah, you. I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
HP is actually Henry Patrick. And can I freeze dry this story really fast? No, I'm asking if it's possible.
Yeah, real fast.
Okay, Henry Patrick. My name is Patrick Henry Mendoza. My mother was told by a psychic that the name Patrick Henry is, numerologically speaking, would bring me, I guess, devil shit or something. And my mom was like, you have to change your name to Henry. I'm like, I hate Henry. She's like, well, initialize it. I'm like, PH sounds like pH balance. And she said, well, you got to go by Henry Patrick or something. So I was like, I'll call that. And the first thing I ever wrote, I was like, Mom, look, HP Mendoza, as a joke. And she's like, oh, that looks good. So, thanks, Mom. That's what it is.
And we had one last question over here, I believe. Yeah, right there. Thank you, John.
I usually never tell anybody, but Why not? It's Laura Lee Abby Weller Rennigan.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and close it off here with just an observation that you guys can react to, and that is in the past 6 or 7 years that that we've been doing the festival. Actually, we're finishing up the 22nd, but
keeping in the
I
corner.
think that starting in 2000, when we screened Shinka Hyan's The Debut and here at the festival, we've been seeing a gradual uptick of films lying about Filipino Americans, but but new kinds of stories that deal with youth, intergenerational kinds of things. Some of them like a bit polarizing, particularly in terms of like young people's attitudes and what have you. I know that going The Debut had its kind of world tour back in 2003. People either loved it or else, they objected to the language. That's like the older people. But, but since then, there's been like a whole lot of things. The flip side, disoriented, a whole bunch of things, and now this one. I'm just wondering how you see colma within this in this growth of a Filipino American cinema.
With the debut is such a big event. I remember a lot of people were just saying, let's watch the debut. Oh, what is it? I don't know, but it's Filipino. Let's go watch it. And I remember people like just hearing about colma. They're like, oh, is it about you? Like, yeah, roughly. Yeah, it's kind of about. So is it a Filipino movie? I don't want to just say it is. It's not a Filipino movie. It's not really an Asian movie. But it is because it's about me, and I wrote it. And recently I heard a professor talking about how you have those artists who are Filipino and those who just happen to be Filipino. And that's the distinction between like, the debut and let's say something like colma. The debut is a piece of Filipino art, while this is colma, which is a piece of art that's made just coincidentally by a Filipino. Movies like the debut need to be made. People do need to hear those messages. A lot of people argue, well, it's kind of, it kind of preaches to the choir, or it's spitting out messages people already know. But there are people who don't know those messages. Colma is for people who probably already saw the debut. If that makes any sense, it's not a Filipino message movie. It's just kind of about a Filipino town. Did that answer it?
Yeah, I think it does, and I think that that puts a really nice cap on this evening. So, Richard and your whole crew, thank you so much again for sharing your work with us.